hello. So, it's been a little while. I would like to make a video about Birdbox that everybody's talking about. I know I'm showing up late to the dance, but, better late than never, I guess. So, it's a Netflix movie. No extra money required with a Netflix subscription. So that's nice. But basically, it's a quiet place mixed with a little bit of The Happening. It's basically, that's the whole story. If you were to take both and just put them together, it's like the director says, like, have you seen The Happening? Seen A Quiet Place? We're gonna merge the two. It's got the suicide element from The Happening, and it's got the apocalyptic, can't do some natural process in life, element. But for being a semi-blatant ripoff of both, does it pretty well to up the terror factor versus A Quiet Place. Because A Quiet Place, you can go around and not talk. It is a natural process of life to vocalize. Babies start vocalizing relatively early, cooing and making sounds. So it's a natural process of life, at least in my opinion. And so is sound, just in general, to deprivations. Senses, you kind of need some auditory stimuli in life. But not being able to fucking see and having to travel and do shit, that sucks. I will give that to them. They definitely made it feel like sucky to have to do this. But it is wildly unrealistic, at least in my opinion. So I don't know how I'm going to mark it, but I'm going to do some spoiler talk. They go down a river that's got rapids towards the end of the river, and they survive without being able to see a steer, plus falling out of the boat and being able to find something to grab onto. Now, I guess, you can flail your arms around until you reach something, but the luck of that has got to be really, really small. Like, they should have been dead. And then, the other thing, well, that's a different issue. The suicides. The suicides are kind of, like for the horror, death, gore porn fucking aspect of the movie. The suicides are kind of underwhelming for a R rating. I felt that could be possibly down to a PG-13. Don't quote me on this, but I think some of the Final Destinations were PG-13. Still accomplished the terror of this whole thing, and there's no gore. You have the one girl that gets hit by a car. You see like a blood spurt-ish, but you don't see her get dismembered or anything. The other woman steps into a car that's on fire and it explodes. There's no dismemberment, no body parts flying. Then you have the girl that had a baby. She jumps out a window, and that is what it is. The old lady who stabs herself is like the goriest one-ish, but you see a little bit of blood on her neck and the scissors. And then the last guy who dies shoots himself in the head that you don't see. Like, basically all the stuff that the violence in it could be shown on TV and have seen worse on Walking Dead or Criminal Minds. Seen more gore on either one. So the gore in there is very underwhelming, very Saturday morning B movie on Sci-Fi. You know, like the shit. I think what got me to, you know, liking it and respecting it was just the survival aspect of not being able to see. Other than that, kind of like, it's an alright movie. You know, thank God it was free. Versus, you know, like Halloween. I made a review of that and posted it, I believe. I really liked that movie, and that movie is very polarizing. I showed it to my fiance, and she thought it was the dumbest movie ever made. And then, you know, it's setting box office horror records, and I'm just liking it because I love the character of Michael Myers. But that's off the topic of Birdbox. It's just the Halloween movie got released on the 28th digitally, and Birdbox, all the buzz was coming out around that time. Like I said, I was probably late to the show. Seeing all the stuff on Facebook kind of made me want to watch it. But I don't think it's a bad movie for being free. If it was released on DVD and Blu-ray for full price of $20, absolutely not. And then there's like this whole like boring part. There's a boring part for I can't give you a time. The boring part is primarily it's cut, you know, when this guy named Gary shows up. And Gary, that's the other thing too, that, you know, like, it's kind of weird. They try to explain it, but I think it's full, you know, they're full of shit for a theory, you know, a fan theory. So Gary is a guy who's supposed to be running from these crazies that are going around invading people's houses and making them see this creature that's making people kill people. Creatures, from what you see with Gary's drawings. So he's opening they're opening people's eyes and making people see these horrible creatures that make you kill yourself. So, and mind you, the creatures take on different forms, and I don't know how to manipulate you, because they don't really explain that. Like, the one girl sees her mother and then jumps into a car. The other one, you know, is yelling, "What the fuck is that?" and then crashes her car for no apparent reason. So they don't really explain what they're seeing, besides the one character's dialogue about, like, your greatest fear, a loved one you missed, and then there's a third element I can't remember of what these creatures are supposed to, but there's no actual, like, intelligent confirmation of what's going on. But Gary says that there's crazies going around and making people open their eyes. A little bit before that, Sandra Bullock's character is going down the river, and this chubby guy's talking to her and saying, you know, you can take off your blindfolds, it's fine, there's nothing around us, blah, 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 blah. And he grabs her while he's like floating or standing on the water. And he's attacking her, and she hits him with a machete or an axe or something sharp and big, just whacks the shit out of him. And he floats away like, "You all shall see," or some bullshit like that. And I'm like, yeah, this guy's not fucking swimming. He's standing in the fucking water, yelling at them. Now, mind you, I'm not sure how close to the shore they were. You don't really get the depth perception, at least in my opinion, of the proper where they are in the river. But this guy's talking about crazies walking around and everything, and then he eventually puts all these drawings out of the creatures that he's seen, and he explains how the asylums got, like, opened up and everything, and all the crazy people are out and driving around making people see, because they can see it, but that doesn't kill them, doesn't affect them. They think it's beautiful. And he makes two people see it there before he gets killed. And then later in the movie, you see like two carfuls of these crazy people driving essentially around. And I don't really think they're people. I think these creatures have manifested into to humans and are doing it to, to have the power of grabbing people like that, because in the final scene, you see a bunch of them running at Sandra Bullock's character when she's trying to get into the school, and you see like the big ass things just run, like going through the brush and the trees, and so everything's moving, but like they never physically grab anybody and make them see. So I'm wondering if they kind of like manifest as humans, possess humans, or what, because that guy's not, the guy in the river is not fucking Jesus, and he's not standing on the fucking water, okay? Let's just put that out there, blunt as day. So, I liked it as a one-time thing. I would never actually buy it. Like, I appreciate the fact that it's a Netflix movie and that I didn't pay for it, and it keeps you in the beginning. It's very suspenseful, and then it gets boring, and then Gary shows up, and then he dies, and it gets boring again, and then the crazy people show up and make the one guy open it. Essentially, he opens his eyes trying to save Sandra Bullock's character and 2 kids, and there's a back and forth between 5 years. They show them on the river, and then they go back for some backstory, and then they show them on the river, and they go back for the backstory. But like even with another element too, with that said about the crazy people that probably are the actual creatures that are making people do this. That when they're in the woods, there's nothing really around them. It's just them and their blindfolds. There's 2 kids and an adult, and they talk to try to entice you to take off your blindfold because they can't touch you. So how's it for you not to believe that these people are not really from an asylum? If they are from an asylum, maybe they are possessed by these creatures. They saw the fucking crazy people saw the creatures and got turned into the creatures versus suicide, or whatever. The creatures are in their mind making them do this stuff. That's not too far, but they leave so many plot holes. You can't really tell what's what. You can't tell if it's supposed to be like that, if they just wanted to confuse the fuck out of people, if they're making a Birdbox 0.5 and going to have the origin story of what these creatures are, have origin story of the crazies going around in the cars, and I'd say that how the crazies know how to drive, but that is one thing that semi makes sense. But like they get guns, and they're driving around with like assault rifles and find Sandra Bullock and this other fucking dude's house, and it just, I don't know, as I talk about it more, it just sounds more stupid. That's the thing. It's pretty hilarious, actually, how stupid it actually can sound. So, how ridiculous it sounds whenever you're talking about something versus actually doing it. But yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to think of anything else I wanted to complain about with it. The runtime's pretty long, which probably adds to, it's a 2 hour and 15-minute movie, I want to say, which kind of adds to the this was filmed too long. There's this is getting boring. They up the terror there is one scene that's pretty cool. They have to go get supplies. They got Sandra Bullock, who's pregnant, and this other woman, her character name is Olympia, and they're both pregnant, and they're running out of supplies at this house that they seek refuge in. So they're like, we need to go out and get supplies. So the one dude works at like a, I don't know, a supermarket, and so they get into the car, and apparently they have sensors all over this car, and they blacked out the windows. So they get out there, and they're running over bodies, and trying not to hit shit. So they're stationary, and all 4 sensors go off at the same time with something that's on top of on it, and then you see the shadow of this creature on it and everything, and they get to the supermarket safe, and then one of the guys dies in the supermarket, which was relatively stupid of how he dies, without giving away too much. That and the computer death were pretty dumb. Well, now that I've talked this much spoilers, there's a computer scene. So one of the guys has the idea to try to use black and white cameras to try to see if they can see the creatures' locations to get out of the house to go get supplies. So this guy gets essentially tied, duct taped, whatever, to a chair, and sits in front of the computer screens, and he sees the shadow, and then you hear him basically beating his head against whatever the hell the desk. That's not really clear. That's the other thing too, why that's another one, actually, another suicide, but you don't see anything. You see the aftermath of his head, and it's not even bashed in. He's just dead with blood on his head. But yeah, they could explain that better. The other thing too, one other thing too, is Machine Gun Kelly. Machine Gun Kelly's in the movie, and I'm not sure how many people that view this are going to know who he is, but he is a rapper who went up against Eminem last quarter of 2018, and got verbally beat up decently on a song called Kill Shot. He's in it, and every line he has is fuck, we're so fucked. Literally every line has fuck in it. If you took Machine Gun Kelly out of it, I'm pretty sure it'd be a PG-13 movie. Just saying. But him and this girl that he starts banging steal the car and drive off, and you never know what happens to them at all. You never find they somehow they put the camera on, and it's, they got killed or dead or whatever, and they run them over with a car, or they trip over them or something stupid. They just go, and you don't really know what ends up happening to them, which kind of sucks, it's such a stupid thing. I take the camera out and make this for trying to do a review and something, because I just get bored driving, and it's just hilarious. I try to do a review, and then I realize how shitty this movie is. It really is. So yeah, so many different plot holes, so many, and it's not where, I'm trying to think of another good movie that's got some plot holes on it, A Quiet Place has it's got some plot holes in it, but you don't know where these creatures came from in The Quiet Place, why, how they actually hear the sound, because you don't see big ass ears on them, you see them, but you don't see them, kind of a thing. But the story kind of made sense for A Quiet Place, but this one, where did I guess both of them have where did the creatures come from? Why are they here? Why are they attacking us? Are they natural? Are they supernatural? In this alternate dimension of the world, do we have some kind of apocalypse, whatever? And these creatures are just raining terror. Do they cause the apocalypse? I don't know. It's just, I guess both movies kind of didn't make sense, but A Quiet Place is definitely better quality. better quality. The terror factor in Birdbox with not being able to see is what won me over initially, until you kind of sit down and open up the head of lettuce of all the stupidity elements that are really in there. Of why do they do this? What's the point of that? You know. But yeah. I guess I would, I don't know if I could really give it a rating. If I did, it would be out of like 5. I'd say it's probably, for an R-rated movie, it's a 1. For a PG-13 movie, it's a 3. For a made-for-TV movie, it's like a 5. If it makes any sense. You know, like, an actual R-rated movie that would be in theaters, it's like a 1, because there's no violence in it. It's just Machine Gun Kelly saying fuck. And a little bit of John Malkovich. A little bit of John Malkovich. And then, oh yeah, and John Malkovich doesn't even die because of the stupid freaking creatures. He gets murdered by Gary. I'm going to have to put spoilers on this video. So anyway. And this is also a 21-minute video. I wonder how many views I'm going to get. Made for TV movie, 5 out of 5, because, yeah, well, actually with commercials infused in it, it'd probably bump that down to a 3, because it'd break the tension every single time, probably, until they got to a boring part. So you could probably put all the commercials in the middle of the movie. Just have, like, you know, come back in 10 minutes for the conclusion of the movie, and just have all the, you know, commercials all back to back to back to back for 10 minutes. Go, you know, go take a shit, make something to eat, come back and watch the rest of this movie. So that's my thoughts, spoilers, theories, everything about Birdbox and Netflix. Definitely, if you have 2 hours, watch it, form your own opinion. But my opinion is indifferent. Like, it was okay, but if it were in any other format, it would be an absolute piece of garbage. One last thought, speaking of garbage, has anybody seen Holmes and Watson? Is it really as bad as people are saying? Talking about garbage. I've seen nothing but bad things going on with their reviews. So until next time, take care.